3 collegiate sprinter and I'm training to run a sub 48 second 400 meters. My current best is a relay split of 49.5 and an open time of 53.32 because I spent the entire season battling injury. I was also a distance runner until last year, so this will be my first full year training as, hopefully, a healthy sprinter. I hope you enjoy. I am training to run a sub 48 second 400 by May 2024, and this is my full week of training. On Monday, I did a hybrid acceleration and max velocity day, and like always, I started out with a warm-up. Then we did 3 block starts into a 30-meter buildup, followed by a 10-meter fly, taking the overall 40-meter time with a stopwatch and using a timing gate for the last 10 meters. I ran a PR 10-meter fly from blocks, which I was pretty excited about because starts are a big weak point for me. That was all we did for the day because I was pretty sore from the week before. Wednesday was a max velocity day, and I did some extra warming up because I've been having pain and tightness in my left hip flexor for almost 2 months now. Then I did 4 10-meter flies with rolling starts. I've been noticing that I really struggled to get up to speed with the rolling starts, so my technique with these is something I will focus on heavily in the future. It goes without saying, I was not pleased with this performance. Thursday was an acceleration day, and we changed up our warm-up for some variety.
No.
I tried to do some band work to help warm up my hip, but I still wasn't able to push hard afterward. I also had my friend Zach help me do some really heavy eccentrics for my hip flexor, which I think made a big difference after a few days. On Friday, I was really sore from the week and feeling my hip a lot, so I took an easy day. I did a bunch of mobility for my hips and also a little bit of light running and some strengthening for my feet. I think it was a decent way to end the week and get me fresh and loose for the following week. Also, sorry in advance for the lighting changes, the weather kept changing on me. This is my full week of sprint training. I'm on a journey to run a sub 48 second 400 by May 2024, and I am documenting as much of it as I can. If you have any questions or feedback, please leave them in the comments below. On Monday this week, I did a hybrid acceleration and max velocity day, and I wasn't able to record my warm-up because I forgot to bring my memory card. I did resisted sprints to act as potentiation for my block starts, getting me ready to apply horizontal forces. Then I did 40-meter dashes out of blocks, taking my overall 40-meter time hand-timed, and using a timing gate to get my 10-meter fly time at the end. I did 3 reps alternating back and forth, and then did 4 reps without the resisted sprints in front. After that, I did a bunch of depth drops or altitude drops, which I'm going to make a video about in the next couple of weeks. I followed that with some regular and lateral extensive pogo hops to build spring tolerance in my feet, Achilles, and knees. And finally, I did some single leg mini bounds for the same purpose. Then I did a contralateral aerobic circuit with my mouth taped shut to force nasal breathing. I have a video about aerobic training coming next week, so make sure you stick around for that. It started pouring rain halfway through, so that's why the lens gets all messed up. Wednesday is max velocity day, and I ended up doing 4 sprints in the form of 10-meter flies with a 30-meter buildup. I was a lot better this week at accelerating properly, so I was a lot happier with my times than last week. I also did depth drops to develop my ability to absorb forces and finished up with another contralateral circuit. The day after this, which was Thursday, was an acceleration day, and I alternated short resisted sprints with block starts, and I also threw in some bounding. I mentioned this last week, but starts are a big weak point for me, so this day is really important. I didn't feel particularly powerful this week, but I'm supposed to be tired at this phase of training, so that's okay. Friday, I had another max velocity day, and I ended up doing 7 10-meter flies before I hit my drop-off percentage and had to call it a day. I was definitely tired from the week, so I wasn't running my fastest. I followed this up with yet another contralateral circuit to end the week. Thank you guys so much for watching and for following my journey. The feedback from you has been super positive so far, and I'm really thankful for the support. This is week 5 of my journey to a sub 48 second 400 meter. I was still dealing with a lot of pain in my hip flexor this week, so I couldn't sprint as much as I wanted to, but I think that the work I did put in was good and will help set me up nicely for the next few weeks. Also, I put these videos out 1 week after I record them so that I can always stay a little bit ahead, and so I'm back at college now and have access to a weight room, and the cable machine has been a game changer for my hip. I'm almost as good as new after just a few days, so you won't have to hear me complaining about my hip after this week. On Monday I did my usual, which was a hybrid acceleration and max velocity day, but I wasn't able to get in any true sprints because of, again, my hip. I did resisted sprints for potentiation, followed by block starts into a 30-meter build-up and 10-meter fly. Then I did some stair sprints instead of the usual contralateral circuit I've been doing because I was short on time. These spiked my heart rate super fast, so I had to keep resting, and I ended up with an average heart rate of 160 over 6 minutes. Wednesday was a max velocity day. I couldn't really sprint again, and I cut the day pretty short. I also did a little bit of a contralateral circuit, but I think I had an issue with my hydration or my electrolytes, because I could only go for 16 minutes and my heart rate hit almost 180. It was super weird. Finally, Friday was another max velocity day. I got a couple solid sprints in, but only did a few so I didn't aggravate my hip. I finished with my best contralateral circuit yet, and my last one possibly for the year, with 30 seconds on, 10 seconds off for 30 minutes straight at a 160 average heart rate. Like I mentioned, next week's video will be from college, and I get to start lifting heavy again and hanging out with my team. I'm super excited to get those videos out, so make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss them. Welcome to week 6 of the Sub 48 project. Things feel like they're starting to get real because this week was my first week back on campus. I'm super happy to be training with the team again. I really enjoy having that environment and having people around to push me every day, but unfortunately our official practices don't start until next week. We practiced Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week, but I didn't record Monday's practice because I was still getting settled in and, to be honest, was nervous about how the team would react. But everyone ended up taking it really well when I asked them about recording, thank goodness. We followed the same schedule that I've been doing, so Monday was a max velocity and acceleration day, where we did block starts into 10-meter flies, and I also lifted heavy afterward for the first time in about 3 or 4 months. I hit approximate maxes of 295 in the back squat and 315 in Romanian deadlift. Wednesday was a max velocity day, but I think I was tired from the last couple of days because I was only able to run 20.7 miles per hour compared to my current PR of 21.7 miles per hour, which for some reason I haven't been able to hit since July 18th, even though I've been training really consistently. Thursday we did an acceleration day where we alternated resisted sprints with block starts. I really like doing this because it feels like the resisted sprints do a good job of preparing you to produce horizontal force and getting your muscle fibers engaged, and the block starts feel awesome afterward. I followed that with another lift for the week. This time I was supposed to be moving the bar with max intent with around 90% of my 1 rep max for each exercise. You can see in my squats I had some issues with my knee caving in because I'm not used to that kind of weight on my back. I also seem like I'm a little crooked on my bench press, so I will be working on both of those things in future weeks. Like I mentioned, next week is our first week of official practices, and I'm very excited to share those with you guys. Hey guys, this is week 7 of the Sub 48 project, where, as you know, I am training to run a Sub 48 second 400 meter. This was my second week back on campus and our first week of official practices with the full team, and I think it went really well. I was given the opportunity to help my coach write the strength training program for our team, and you will get to see some of what we were doing for that at the end of the video. We started out on Monday with an introductory practice just to make sure everyone understood the warm-up and how we like to run things, so I didn't record that day. On Tuesday, we did an entire practice of just plyometrics. Plyometrics are the type of training that I am the worst at, so I'm super pumped to be focusing on them heavily this year, because improving your biggest weakness can lead to the biggest gains in performance. We did jump to a pretty high volume pretty fast, so quite a few people, including me, had some knee pain pop up. I've had patellar tendinopathy for years, but luckily because of all the work I put in over the summer, my pain didn't come back too severely, and I've still been able to train, lift, and do plyos since, just a little bit more carefully. Wednesday we had an active recovery day with some form drills, so I didn't record that day either, and we came back Thursday for a max velocity day. I didn't have my timing gates set up, so I don't know how fast I was running, but to me this just felt like a pretty average day. Being back with the team and my coach though, I'm pretty sure there will be some huge gains coming in the near future. Friday, I came in for my second lift of the week, and I didn't actually record the first lift of the week because the weight room was packed full of people, and I was doing the things that my coach and I came up with together. The foundation of what we are doing currently is single-legged, eccentrically focused squats, where we set up in almost a lunge position, but with all our weight positioned on the front foot, and we squat down for 6 seconds before putting our feet together and exploding up. It's also focused on a glute and hamstring specific back extension, also with a 6-second eccentric or lowering phase. These are super taxing, but should lead to really good adaptations in the coming weeks. This is week 8 of my journey to a sub 48 second 400. I had a pretty big realization about a mistake I was making with my sprinting because my coach pointed it out to me, so this week was a really important one for me. We realized that I was trying to force frequency during my acceleration instead of being patient and allowing myself to be powerful as I pushed into the ground. As I started changing that, I'm pretty sure I ran some of the fastest speeds of my life, and hopefully you'll be able to see the difference in some of the clips coming up. Just like always though, we started out with a warm-up, and I try to focus really hard during this portion of practice because we do it so often and it is so important for learning good habits and body positions. My biggest priorities through most of these are getting my knees and hips to 90-degree angles and maintaining dorsiflexion at my ankle or keeping my toes pointed to the sky. Heel striking is obviously never the goal, but being too high up on your toes is also an issue because you sacrifice power and lose some of the spring of your Achilles. We followed that with some 2.15 meter starts, which is where I first started working on my patience and prioritizing power over frequency. After that, we did falling starts, where you tip over as far as you feel comfortable and then start from that position. I'm terrible at these, so it's probably a positive to be working on it. I think the point is to get comfortable pushing from a deep position that feels off balance. After practice, I went to the gym to lift. This is our second to last week of lifting with an eccentric focus, so for the heavy lower body lifts, I'm doing a 6-second eccentric or lowering phase. The squats I'm doing here are single leg focused eccentric squats, where you stagger your legs and lower down slowly with all the weight focused on your front leg. Then you put your feet together at the bottom and explode up. My coach and I, as far as I know, came up with these squats, and it allows you to load much heavier than regular single leg squats would. It also gives you a great eccentric stimulus, which is really taxing on the body but should lead to huge adaptations in the next 2 to 3 weeks. I also did a vertical pushing movement and pulling movement with overhead press and pull-ups, even though I'm not very good at either of them, and finished with some hip work because if I go too many days without it, my hip pain that I was dealing with at the beginning of my training comes back. Then we are right back into a warm-up for Tuesday, our second day of training for the week. Tuesdays are our plyometric days, where we are working on force production and application, as well as developing our tendons to store and release forces more efficiently. These are the days where I can feel all my hard work over the summer paying off, because last year I wouldn't have even made it halfway through before having to stop due to knee pain. I am still battling that pain, but my tolerance for this hard training has at least doubled, if not tripled. I also feel powerful off of the ground and like I am capable of being explosive, which is not something I've ever felt before. And here you can see me trying to teach my friend Jace how to do what we call Mario hops, but he cannot figure it out. Then on Wednesday we had another warm-up, which I'll just fast forward for you a bit since you have to watch so many of them, and we had an active recovery day where we did some banded form drills. Having the arms motionless above your head makes you engage your core so much more than just regularly doing these drills, and also helps you stay tall in the hips and keep overall good posture and positioning. It makes these really tough but very effective. Thursday, our last track day of the week, we had a max velocity day. We started out with, of course, a warm-up, but then some hurdle mobility drills as well. This is important for some of the tighter athletes on the team, and there's a big and noticeable difference in their sprinting speed and technique when we do these drills before we sprint. Then we went into our 10-meter flies from 30-meter build-ups. The only goal of these is to hit full speed before the first hurdle and maintain it all the way through the second hurdle. I continued focusing on being patient and powerful, and I felt quite a bit faster than usual on most of my reps, although my form wasn't particularly clean or pretty due to my focus on power, since I'm not used to it yet. And in this clip coming up, I raced Jace and Russell, but you can clearly see Jace false start. He starts running noticeably before our teammates' hands finish clapping, and then he immediately does it again in the next clip. Typical Jace. Finally, Friday, I came in for my second lift of the week with the same eccentric focus. After the squats, I did some back extensions the coach and I planned out for the team, where you lower with a dumbbell for 6 seconds, then drop the dumbbell and explode upward, and your teammate hands you the dumbbell to go again. I lift on different days than my team usually so that I can help coach them through the lifts, so this was my first time having a teammate to assist me. I tried using a 90, but it was way too light, so I ended up using two 60-pound dumbbells for a total of 120 pounds. I was proud of myself for lifting so much, and a big thanks to Kyle for helping me with the weights, but next time I'm definitely just going to do single leg Romanian deadlift instead, because working with that much weight on a glute-focused back extension is impractical. I also did spring ankle exercises to strengthen my feet and ankles to allow me to transfer more of the force I produce into the ground, and finally did some bench press with my, for some reason, super crooked form. Hey guys, this is week 9 of the Sub 48 project. I kept focusing a lot on applying more power to the ground this week, just like I was last week, and it feels great. I'm starting to feel like I might actually be a little bit fast, which is a new feeling for me. We started off the week with an acceleration day, doing some 2-point starts and some falling starts. Again, my focus was just on pure power output. My form doesn't look particularly pretty, but that's not my goal. I want to get down my power application first and then worry about the technical aspect later. My coach and I have been really noticing an issue with my right arm lately where it flares out and extends instead of staying somewhere near the regular 90-degree angle, and we've been trying to find the cause. I might have an imbalance or tilt in my shoulders that also shows up when I'm bench pressing or doing overhead press, but we haven't found the exact cause of that issue yet. But on the bright side, like I mentioned, I'm feeling much faster than I've ever felt, so I can't complain too much. Tuesday we were back at the track for our plyometric day. My knee pain has been slowly getting worse, but I've been able to get through these workouts without too much of an issue, which is really important for me because, like I've talked about in other videos, plyometrics are probably my biggest weak point, which shows that my force application and ability to store and release energy in my tendons is still not great. Hopefully throughout this year I can keep developing those abilities because they are the largest obstacle in my path to sub 48 seconds in my opinion. We lifted after practice, and this is our final week of heavy eccentrics before a deload week, which signifies the end of this training cycle. I felt really weak on Tuesday, but I got back up to my regular weights on our second lift of the week. I also switched out the back extensions from last week with a single leg emphasized Romanian deadlift to make it easier to load. On Wednesday, we had an active recovery day with form drills. I talked about this last week too, but taking the arms out of the equation with bands like this is really good for forcing proper core activation and keeping you tall in the hips, so these drills are really great. Thursday was our last day of training and we did a max velocity day just like usual. I felt pretty fast and overall I thought it was a really good session. You can see the issue with my right arm pretty clearly in some of these clips. It's something I really want to figure out moving forward because I know I need to be as biomechanically sound as possible to make up for the fact that I am not a natural born genetic freak. Then I had my second lift of the week and I was able to go pretty heavy this day. It felt good and I think it was a productive strength training session. Thank you guys again for watching and supporting these videos. It means so much to me and I want to try to keep making them better for you every week. Hopefully I will see you in the next one. And this is my 10th week of training. This week was a deload week with some timed sprints, plyometrics, mobility drills, and more. We started it all off with the most exciting practice so far this year, where we did timed 10-meter flies with the entire team. Of course, we started out with a thorough warm-up, and I had an energy drink earlier that day, so I was absolutely buzzing from the caffeine. I would not recommend doing that before practice. Keep in mind when you see the speed that I am running, we are just coming off of a super hard eccentric cycle of lifting, so we should pretty much be at our slowest point for the entire year right now. I ended up running 21.5 miles per hour as you saw, which isn't a personal best for me, but considering the fatigue we have been intentionally building up the last few weeks, I'm okay with it. I also ended up running the fastest fly on the team, which doesn't necessarily mean I'm the fastest guy on the team, but it felt pretty dang good. We came back the next day for some plyometric drills, but unfortunately I had to stop on only the second one because my knee pain got too bad to push through. I'm doing some rehab work for it, including isometrics and foam rolling, but I haven't gotten a handle on it quite yet. We came in on Wednesday for some active recovery, which I didn't end up recording this week, and then we came in on Friday for an acceleration day. We opened up with some 20-meter 2-point starts and then followed that with resisted sprints. I absolutely love resisted sprints and the way that they carry over to regular accelerations, but I have to admit I felt a bit out of practice since I hadn't done them since the first week of September. I didn't show any of my lifting this week since it was a deload week. We kept our intensity the same, meaning we used the same weights we used the week before, but we took all the exercises down to just one set to allow our bodies to recover and rebuild for the next week. Welcome to the Sub 48 project. I am training to run a sub 48 second 400, and this is my full week of training. We started out this week with, just like always, a warm-up, doing some dynamic stretches and then form drills, and then we went into some resisted sprints. We were really trying to emphasize power and having big arm movements while we did these for the sake of improving our ability to accelerate quickly and produce horizontal force. I noticed that I come upright really quickly while I'm doing these instead of staying in a deeper acceleration angle like what we're looking for, so that is something I'm going to work on in future weeks. I also just stuck to a 45-pound plate for these, which seems to create a good balance of resistance while still allowing for speed. Hopefully in coming weeks we can mess around with lighter and heavier weights or drop sets, which feel amazing on the sled, but since we only have one sled for our entire team, that wouldn't be very time efficient. We followed these resisted sprints with 2-point starts, and my legs felt pretty weak this first day. It felt like I couldn't generate power on the unweighted sprints. We rolled out after practice to try to stay healthy, and that was day 1. Day 2, we came back for our plyometrics day. I was able to do almost the whole workout without my knees hurting too badly, so that was a big win for me. I'm continuing to feel more and more powerful as time goes on, and I'm really excited to continue developing my plyometrics as the season progresses, because fast and powerful movements are not my strong suit. After that we had our lift, and we are finally in a new cycle of lifting. So instead of doing our 6-second eccentric or lowering phase of the bar, we're now doing 4-second isometric holds at the bottom position of our squats. I kept the weight pretty light on the first day because these felt really strange the first time doing them. I also perform these with my breath held out, so I blow out all my air before I hit the bottom of the rep. This spikes your blood pressure really high and leads to cardiovascular adaptations that regular training does not. I also took my bench press very slow and controlled to try to fix the imbalance between my arms, and I think it went pretty well. Then we had our active recovery and form drill day. I felt like I was struggling a bit to hit the correct positions this day, probably because my legs were so tired from the lift. However, the day did its job and left us all feeling great for the following day, where we did a max speed session of 10-meter flies. Unfortunately, it was raining, so I didn't get to record any of the session, but we were all feeling really fast and explosive that day. We finished off the week with one more lift. I was more confident this time, so I let myself push the weight up a little bit to really test what I could handle. I was really happy with how this went, ending up with a set of 4 squats at 265 pounds with a 4-second hold at the bottom of each rep. I am a D3 collegiate sprinter, and, as most of you know by now, I am training to run a sub 48 second 400. This is my full week of training, although it is a shortened week because we had our fall break, so we only practiced for 3 days. I hope you enjoy. This is week 13 of my journey to a sub 48 second 400. We are in our last hard week of training before a deload week and another timing day to assess our progress so far. It's also our last week of heavy isometric training, and we get to go into power training in our next cycle, which is really exciting. In theory, our weight room training will have actually been making us slower so far due to how taxing it is, and it is intended to build a foundation that will pay off heavily in future months, but at the expense of worse performance now. And regardless of that, our whole team actually seems as though they've been getting faster. So Coach and I are looking forward to seeing what will happen when we really start training like explosive athletes. Our first day was an acceleration day like usual, where we did both resisted sprints and 2-point starts. We took a long time warming up because it was a cold, dark day, and we do not want to risk any injuries. Then we went right into the resisted sprints. We are still using 45 pounds of resistance on these because we think it holds us back just enough to help us hit proper positions without completely changing our acceleration form. My biggest weakness with these is coming upright too fast, which would reduce the amount of horizontal force I can produce, and also cycling my heels back behind me. I talk about that a bit more in my video about 5 mistakes that are making you slow, but in summary, it is a lot less efficient when you cycle your heels because there is more time between each foot contact and it changes your direction of force application. That is why keeping your feet low, or toe dragging as some people call it, is probably the best way to accelerate. I want to specify that I don't actually mean dragging your toes, but keeping them very close to the ground. I also consistently have an issue with my right arm going long or extending during my reps, which I still haven't figured out. It may be an issue with the internal rotation of my right leg, so I have been working on that as much as I can. Other than that though, these accelerations felt really good and I was happy with how the day went. The next day was our plyo day, which is starting to be one of my favorite days of the week. Plyometrics are super important for increasing both your rate of force production and your reactivity, or more specifically, your ability to absorb and then redirect force into the ground with your muscles, tendons, and connective tissue. Improving these abilities increases your power production at max speed and your efficiency, which is super important for a 400-meter guy like me. It's also why I think a lot of jumpers end up being 400 guys. They get all the so-called free energy from their highly trained tendons the whole way around the track, naturally increasing their ability to sustain high speeds. This day is feeling better and better for me each week, and I think my body has been adapting really well. I'm especially happy with how my bounding has been coming along. I don't have footage of it, unfortunately, but last year I literally could not bound or do the single leg repeat hops that we do at all. So I've been able to progress a really long way with these. After that, we had our first lift of the week. It was a pretty standard lift and nothing particularly exciting happened. Like I mentioned, we are still in our heavy isometric phase and I wasn't able to add any weight from last week. I have been stuck at 265 for our isometric squats for almost the whole phase for some reason. The next day it was raining, so I didn't get much footage, but we did some max velocity work. I think this is some of the best sprinting I've done yet, and Coach was really happy with the reps I put in. My right arm was still having some issues, but overall I think it looked pretty good. I could also get better with my knee recovery because it is a little bit slow, but that would probably only be fixed by being able to produce more vertical force into the ground, which would pretty much mean I just need to get better and more experienced at sprinting to fix that issue. Then we went into the second lift of the week, and I tried to show you guys a lot more of the specific exercises we do than I have been in previous weeks. I started with the isometric hold squats and was able to get up to 275 this time, which I was really happy about. It was really nice to end the lifting cycle on a PR, and it was definitely a tough one. Then I went into bench press, still really focused on keeping my arms even all throughout. And box jumps came next. The only intention with these is to contract our muscles as fast as possible in order to get the CNS firing fast after the really slow isometric squats. After that, I did some tibialis work, which I have found to be really great for reducing shin splints and knee pain because it helps you absorb the impact of your steps, and I followed that with some hip work. I still have to work on my hip flexors at least twice a week or I start getting a ton of pain and tightness in my left one, which is a recurring issue since my training over the summer. I have no idea how to heal it long term, so for now I would just keep hitting the hip flexors with his cable exercise. Finally, I did some rows to get in my pulling movement and ended the workout with spring ankle drills to improve ankle stiffness and strength. I had one of the best and most surprising practices of my life this week, but it was not an easy road getting there. It was one of the most disorganized weeks of training I've ever had, but it ended with a huge payoff. Let me explain. If you don't already know me, my name is Simon Schock from Shocking Performance. I used to be a distance runner, but due to battling endless injuries, I have now been training as a sprinter full-time for a year with a focus on the 400. I have a personal best on paper of 53 seconds, but I ran a relay split of 49.5 last year, and I have a goal to try to run a sub 48 second 400 this year. We are currently focusing our training heavily on max speed and acceleration because our program in the past has had a focus on endurance that leaves us in great shape, but without enough raw speed to compete at the level we would like to. A month ago, we timed 10-meter flies to get a baseline, and I ran a 1.04, which gave me an estimated 11.4 second 100-meter dash. But to hit my goals, I need to run at least a 1 flat 10-meter fly or faster, so I have my sights set on that going into this week. This week was our deload after a 3-week training cycle. We were trying to get really fresh because we had a time trial in the week which we planned for Wednesday. On Monday, after our warm-up, we went into a pretty light acceleration day. We did 3 sled drags to improve our ability to produce horizontal force quickly, and 2 to 3 2-point starts working on starting powerfully to theoretically set ourselves up well for a good sprint. This is about half of our normal volume and left us potentiated and excited, but not too tired because we didn't want to create any excess fatigue before our testing. After that, we went into our Tuesday practice, which was an active recovery day. We went through our whole warm-up just like usual, trying to elevate our heart rates to increase blood flow to all our muscles, aiding in recovery and also providing benefits of form and rhythm work on top of some aerobic adaptations. We followed that up with some banded form drills, which allow us to take our arms out of the equation, creating more core activation and placing a large emphasis on pelvic positioning. We did single, double, and triple switches like this, and overall the day felt pretty good and we were ready for our timed flies the next day. But things rarely ever go how you want them to. We got a message from our coach halfway through the day informing us that the soccer team had a game on the turf that's right in the middle of the track, right at our practice time, which meant our carefully curated and planned week to prepare us for the timing day kind of fell apart. We ended up doing a super light lift on Wednesday just to get some blood flow, but did very minimal sets and reps, and then Thursday I had the single goal of preparing my body for Friday. I did a bunch of hip mobility in the morning because I have started realizing I have a serious issue with internal rotation in my left hip, and also, as you guys know, have been dealing with hip flexor issues for a few months now. After I got done with that, I did a nice easy 20-minute bike ride just to get my heart pumping and muscles moving with the intention of clearing out any leftover waste products and just providing a reset so that I would be as fresh as possible the following day. Speaking of the following day, that is exactly what you're seeing now. The big day finally arrived. I was pretty nervous going into this because it was the moment to see if all the training so far had been paying off and if I was anywhere near where I needed to be to achieve my goals. After a very thorough warm-up, I hit the track for some build-ups and then started my timed reps. The first one actually didn't read my time, but then the second one I got a 1.04, which is exactly what I ran on our last timing day. I was not feeling confident at all once I saw that, and was already starting to worry that I hadn't improved over the last month. That is, until I ran my second rep. I felt really good and super smooth, like I was hitting every position just right, and as I was walking back from the fly zone, my coach told me I ran a 1.02. I was absolutely ecstatic. That was exactly what I'd been wanting to hit, and I really couldn't believe that I did it. It didn't stop there though. I realized that in my timing app, you can click on the times that you ran and it'll show you to the thousandths instead of just the hundredths, and it showed me that I actually ran a 1.011, which means I broke 22 miles per hour. That means in 1 month of training, I got more than half a mile per hour faster. Now there are other factors to consider, like that it was a relatively windy day and the last time we tested we were under a decent amount of fatigue, but regardless of that, I still count this as a huge win, and I'm absolutely thrilled that things worked out the way they did. Plus, I wasn't the only one on the team who improved. Our team's average improvement on their 10-meter fly over the month was 0.04 of a second, which is a huge jump for everyone, and really goes to show that we are training in the right way. This is the fastest our team has ever been by far, and I'm so excited to see how we are all going to compete once indoor season comes around. Thank you guys so much for watching and for all the support. I'll see you in the next one.